We continue now at the top of Daf Yud Zayin Amud Beis in Meseches Taanis. This is Taanis Daf 17b. The Gemara is discussing why nowadays Kohanim don't cut their hair every 30 days. And so the Gemara said it's just like by drinking wine. Drinking wine is only an issue when there's a Beis HaMikdash for Kohanim. So too, when it comes to getting a haircut every 30 days, that's only an issue when there's a Beis HaMikdash. But the Gemara says, but even nowadays, why is it that Kohanim are not concerned that the Beis HaMikdash might be rebuilt? Karebi, because we're following Rebbe's opinion. Rebbe's the one that says that nowadays we don't have to be concerned for that, and the Kohanim are allowed to drink wine. But Mechlal de Rabbanan Asri, but that statement that we follow Rebbe, it implies that the Rabbanan say it's a problem. That the Rabbanan say there is a problem for Kohanim to drink wine nowadays. My time, and what's the reason? Meheira Yibana Beis HaMikdash, because of the issue that maybe the Beis HaMikdash will be speedily rebuilt. Uva Inon Kohen Haroi Lavoda Veleka. We need to have a Kohen who's fit to do the avoda, and you won't have that. So here you have a problem also. Don't we have a problem that if the Kohanim are not getting haircuts every 30 days, they're not going to be fit to serve in the Beis HaMikdash? Should it be rebuilt? And so the Gemara says, no, hach over here, efshar de misaper v'ayil. It's possible to just get a haircut and serve in the Beis HaMikdash. In other words, if it should happen that the Beis HaMikdash is rebuilt, it won't be a big deal. The Kohanim will just get haircuts and serve in the Beis HaMikdash. The Gemara says, well, ihachi, if so, shaso yayin nami. Let's say somebody drank wine also. Efshar de goni por v'ayil. It's possible the person can sleep a little bit, and then he won't be drunk anymore, and then he can go serve in the Beis HaMikdash. Rami Bar Abba, it's just like Rami Bar Abba says. To Amar Rami Bar Abba, because Rami Bar Abba says, derech, if a person travels on the road, derech meal, v'shena kolshu, if he travels on the road for a meal, a certain amount, or even sleeping a little bit, mefigen asayayin, that takes away the power of the wine. So that would be a way to serve in the Beis HaMikdash. There's a solution for that as well. And so the Gemara says, no, lav miyatmar Allah, wasn't it said on that statement that Omar of Nachman, Omar Rabba Bar Avua, Rav Nachman said in the name of Rabba Bar Avua, lo shanu ela kishashasa shir revius. This idea that you can sleep off the wine, that's only if he drank just the amount of a revius. Avol shasa yosem revius, but if a person drank more than a revius, kol shekein shederech matridaso v'shena mishakarto. Certainly, traveling on the road is going to make things even worse. Sleeping will make the person even more drunk. So therefore, by wine, there really is no solution. But by the haircut, again, there is a solution. They could just get a haircut and serve in the Beis HaMikdash. The Gemara continues, Rav Ashi says a different answer. Shesuya yayin demachli avoda. When it comes to people who have drunken wine and they're drunk, so then the avoda is no good at all. The avoda they would do in the Beis HaMikdash is a problem. So Gazrubu Rabbanan. So there the Rabbanan make a decree, maybe the Beis HaMikdash will be rebuilt, so therefore you shouldn't drink wine. But Perue Rosh, the lo machli avoda. But let's say you have a Kohen who didn't get a haircut in the last 30 days, grew out his hair, so that doesn't make the avoda puzzle. In such a situation, lo Gazrubu Rabbanan. So the Rabbanan didn't make a gezerah that nowadays you have to get a haircut every 30 days because maybe the Beis HaMikdash will be rebuilt. It's not such a big deal. Even if the Beis HaMikdash is rebuilt, that wouldn't puzzle the avoda if the Kohen didn't get a haircut. And the Gemara continues, we have a question on this from the following brisa, ve'elu shein b'misa. The following, the punishment is misa, is death. Shesuya yayin u'prui rosh. Kohanim that serve in the Beis HaMikdash either drunk if they drink wine, or again if they let their hair grow out, they have long hair. So bishlam shesuya yayin behed yaksibu. I understand the ones who drink wine, that's a pasuk. It says yayin v'shecher al teisht. It says they can't drink wine when they go to serve in the Beis HaMikdash. Ela prui rosh benolim. But where do we get this idea that prui rosh, if they grow out their hair, it's chayiv misa? So Dichsiv, because the pasuk says, this is the same pasuk they quoted in Yechezkel earlier, V'roshim lo yigalechu, fera lo yishalechu. It says they shouldn't shave their heads, but they also shouldn't grow out their hair long. Uchsiv basrein, it says right after that, V'yayin lo yishtu, they shouldn't drink wine. Kol kohen bevoim al chatzar apnimis, any kohen that's going to serve in the Beis HaMikdash. So therefore, V'iskash prui rosh l'shasuya yayin. We make a comparison to those who grow out their hair to those who drink wine. Ma shasuya yayin b'misa, just like those who drink wine, the punishment is death. Af prui rosh b'misa. So to those who serve in the Beis HaMikdash, growing out their hair, the punishment is death. And so the Gemara now asks its question. Umina, but from that logic, Ima shesuya yayin demachli avoda. If we know that shesuya yayin, if you serve in the Beis HaMikdash drunk, the avoda is puzzle. Af prui rosh demachli avoda. Shouldn't the same thing be true by prui rosh? The service in the Beis HaMikdash should be puzzle. And the Gemara answers, lo, no, you don't make such a comparison. Ki iskish lemisa hu de iskish. The comparison is only when it comes to misa. That's the only comparison between those who are drunk and those who grow out the hair. Avalachule avoda lo iskish. But don't make a comparison in the idea that the avoda is desecrated. Now we should note over here that this line in the parentheses, some take it out and some say that the Gemara just ends with a question, that indeed it does seem that the prui rosh is machli avoda, so you can't give the answer we gave before, that by the case of the wine, the avoda is desecrated, and then by prui rosh it's not desecrated. And in any case, the Gemara continues, Amar le Ravina le Ravashi, so Ravina said to Ravashi, Hamakame dasi Yechezkel man Amra, but before Yechezkel came along, who said this halach? In other words, you're learning these halachas from Sefer Sefer Yechezkel about Kohanim, but where's the source before Sefer Yechezkel? And so the Gemara says, Amar Le, he said back to him, but according to your reasoning, according to that question, Hadamar Rav Chisda, that statement that Rav Chisda made, Davar Zemi Toras Moshe lo lamadnu midivrei Kabbalah lamadnu. He said the following thing, we don't learn it from Toras Moshe, we don't learn it from the Chumash, rather we learn it from the Navi, we learn it from Yechezkel. What halacha? Because it says in Sefer Yechezkel, Kol ben Nechor or a Levi or a Basar, lo yavo al mikdashi. It says that if a person doesn't have a bris milah, Kohen can't come into the Beis HaMikdash. So again, is that, where do we learn that in the Torah? Hamekame da'asi Yechezkel man amra, before Yechezkel came along, who said that halacha? So Ela Gemara Gamerla, rather the truth is these are traditions. Really the source is not Sefer Yechezkel for these halachas. V'yasa Yechezkel v'yasmecha akra. Yechezkel's just coming and supporting it with psukim. That's true again in the halacha of somebody without a bris milah. Hachanami, and here also when it comes to serving in the Beis HaMikdash, that you need to get a haircut. Gemara Gamerla, really it's a tradition. V'yasa Yechezkel v'yasmecha akra. Yechezkel's coming along and supporting it with psukim. The Gemara continues at the two dots, quoting the Mishnah, Kalakosav b'Megillas Taanis Delo Misbad. Any date that's written in Megillas Taanis where you're not supposed to have eulogies, lafan of asr, so the day before is also asr to have eulogies, liachar of mutter. The day after it's going to be mutter. And the Gemara says, Tanu Rabban, and the sages taught in Megillas Taanis, Ilen Yomaya Delole Sana Bahon, these are the days you're not supposed to fast on these days, Umiksasan Delole Mispad Bahon, and some of them you're not supposed to have eulogies. Meiresh Yarcha de Nisan v'Atman Yabei, from Rosh Chodesh Nisan until the 8th of Nisan, Itokam Tamida, the Talmud was established, Rashi will explain this, Delole Mispad Bahon, so you don't have eulogies. Mitzman Yabei at Sof Moad, and then from the 8th of Nisan until the end of the holiday, Itosav Chaga de Shavuaya, the holiday of Shavuos was refuted, Delole Mispad Bahon, so there's no eulogies. And Rashi over here explains, Meireish Yarcha de Nisan Atman Yabei, the Chol Shmona Yomim Nasu v'Nosnu b'Davar, at Shenitzchu es HaTzidukim. What happened over here was there was a debate between the Chachamim and the Tzidukim, and for 8 days they debated, and the Chachamim were victorious. V'yasu osam Yom Tov, and therefore they made these days a Yom Tov, v'Davar zem aforish b'Menachos, v'Perak Rav Yishmael of Megillas Taanis hamatzuy etzleinu. You can see this in Menachos, and you can see this in the Megillas Taanis that we have. Delole Hisana Bahon, you don't fast on these days, Shakulan Asur b'Taanis. The point is, all of these days you can't fast. Umiksasan sheyesh ben ksas chamurin kol kach shebehas ben nami asur. And some of them are so strict that not only are you not supposed to fast, you also cannot have eulogies. So he took him to Mida v'tosiv chaga de Shavuaya. So one was the Karban Tamid, one was the holiday of Shavuos. Ben yonim rabim cholko baitusinim chachamim. Many things that the baitusim argued with the chachamim. The baitusim are really just another version of the tzedukim. Umefurashin v'menachos of Megillas Taanis. It's explained in Menachos Megillas Taanis. V'chigar sin hasan Perak Rav Yishmael. Ton Rabban nilan yomai delol sana behon. Umeksasan delol mispad behon. Mereshacha de Nisan atman yabei. He took him to me the delol mispad. Umitman yabei at sof moaded tosav chagad the shvai delol mispad. Meiresh yarcha de Nisan v'atman yabei. Took him to me the delol mispad. What does it mean, the Karban Tamid? Shahayu at tzedukim omer miyachid misnadiv umevi tamid. The tzedukim would say that an individual could donate and bring a Karban Tamid. Karban Tamid was the one that was brought every single day. My derosh, as Lakev Zachot Hasav Abokev, as Lakev Hasheni Taseh Ben Harboyim. Pasuk says you're going to bring the carbon in the morning and the afternoon. Maya Hadru who has carboni lachmi lishai tishmru lahakriv lashon rabimhu shu kulan boin mitrumas alishka. They responded, no. The pasuk goes on to be in plural, not in singular. Again, it has to be brought from the public funds, not from an individual. And mitman yebei the lola mispat shu baitusim omer matzeres achar Shabbasu. The baitusim used to say that Shavuos would always fall out on a Sunday. Shomer maschil echad b'Shabbos, because the Omer was always brought on a Shabbos, on a Sunday. Shenemar svartim lochem imochras Shabbos, as you count from the day after Shabbos. Everything starts from Sunday. Nitafel and Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai v'yomer leishotem minayin lochem. So then Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai came and he said, where did you get this from? V'lo hayadam shechziro davar chutz mizaken echad shem efatzveit kenegdo v'yomer Moshe Rabbeinu av Yisrael haya be'odea shatzeres yom echad hu. So then there was somebody that argued with him and said Moshe Rabbeinu he loved Klal Yisrael and he knew that it was one day. Amar v'tikna achar Shabbos, why not make it on Sunday? It's so convenient. Shabbos Sunday have a yontiv. Kedei shu misangim shnei yomim, they'll celebrate for 2 days. V'dachu osan v'holchu len baitusin. And he was able to push off the proof, and the baitusin left mikoach hapsukin al karchan, because the psukim were so clear, and they were forced to retract. V'chazru and they had to retract. So these days become days of celebration for that reason. So the Gemara continues. Amar Mar, the master said, Meireish Yarcha de Nisan atman yabei tokam tamida dolol mispad. Again from Rosh Chodesh Nisan until the 8th. That's when there's a celebration regarding the Karban Tamid, not to have eulogies. Lama li Meireish Yarcha. Why do you have to start from Rosh Chodesh? Lema mitrei b'Nisan. It should really be from the 2nd day of Nisan. For Rosh Chodesh gufa yom because Rosh Chodesh is already a Yontav and it's Asr. So therefore, you don't need to say anything about Rosh Chodesh. Just say from the 2nd of Nisan until the 8th. So Amar Rav says, Lo nitzrucha ela lesor yom shalafanav. No, the reason why we say it's from Rosh Chodesh is because that also prohibits, like we said, the day before. We said when it's a day you can't eulogize, the day before is also a problem. But the Gemara says, 1 second, V'shalafanav nami, typically the havalei, yom shalafnei Rosh Chodesh. But the day before also, it's the day before Rosh Chodesh. What's the difference if it's the day before Rosh Chodesh or the day before the celebration regarding the carbon Talmud? So the Gemara says, no, Rosh Chodesh Doraisa. Rosh Chodesh is a celebration on a Doraisa level. Doraisa lo boy chizuk. And by Doraisa celebrations, they don't need strengthening, so the day before is actually not a problem. The day before is only an issue. The day before is only also usher when the celebration is something that's not a Doraisa level. Tanya, as we learned in a Braisa, Hayomim hoila ksuvin b'Megillas Taanis. It says these days in Megillas Taanis, lifneim ulachareim asurim. Before and after them are usher, again, because they need strengthening. Shabbos is v'yomim tovim, but when it comes to Shabbos and Yontiv, hein asurim lifneim ulachareim mutarin. They are usher, but before them and after them are going to be mutter. Umahefresh ben zelazen. What's the difference between these holidays? Halalu divrei Torah, because these ones are doraisa. V'divrei Torah ein srich and chizuk. Divrei Torah do not need strengthening. Halalu divrei sofrim, but these other ones are dirabonan. V'divrei sofrim tzrich and chizuk. When it comes to divrei sofrim, it needs strengthening. And the Gemara continues, Amar Mar, the master said, Mitzmanya be'at sof mo'ada, itosef chaga de shavuai de lo lemis. But again, from the 8th of Nisan till the end of the holiday, so the chag of Shavuos was refuted, the tzedukim were refuted, and therefore there's no eulogies. So lamali again, lamali at sof moed. Why do you say until the end of the holiday? It's talking about the end of the holiday of Pesach. Lema ad ha-moed. You should say until the holiday. Umoed gufa yom tov uvaser. The holiday already itself is a yom tov, and it's aser. And so the Gemara says, Amar Papa says, Kidam Rav. It's like the same answer that Rav gave. Lo nitzrucha, it's needed for the following reason. And we'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Yud Ches Amud Aleph.